Anna.
I'm Ben.
AutoSave, welcome to our channel.
Today watching Monogatari Second Season, episode 23. I'm gonna be honest with you, Anna. I am not that excited to watch Monogatari this week. I've loved Hitagi End, and I think this is the end of Hitagi End, and I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy to watch it, but it coming to an end almost feels sad. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that one of my favorite arcs within Monogatari doesn't even have Araragi in it.
I feel that. I understand that. It's definitely a bittersweet feeling. I thought that I'd be a lot more prepared right now than I am actually with the idea of the title, Hitagi End. End is in the title. I should have been more prepared than how I feel right now. But I am not. I'm not.
This is where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It was perfect. But no.
The smile.
Yet.
こうもあっさりと俺の嘘をカンパしたのは俺のことなんてまるっきり信用していなかったということだ。騙すも何もなかったのだ。ここまでこの娘が心を閉ざしていたとは思わなかった。心の闇ではなく闇の心だった。
It was just a heart of darkness.
本当、もう嘘つき。みんな本当に嘘ばっかり。
Oh no! Oh no!
What the fuck?
This feels bad. Love her dress though.
Oh my god, Kaiki, are you gonna be okay?
So now that things are going so horribly wrong, how do we make them into a success? That's what I'm wondering right now.
I don't know. No trust to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Heart of darkness.
Not just darkness in her heart is darkness.
We've got to go to the closet. We've got to bring up the closet. That's all we have left. Or Kaiki's gonna be about to die and Senjugahara's gonna call again.
Part 6. I can't even
worried.
believe that.
What the fuck?
本当に嘘ばっかりで世界ってこの世って本当に嘘ばっかりなんだから。
Whoa.
本当にもう。
ああ、誰に言っている。そして何を言っている。一度もないかのような言い草だな。周囲のすべてを騙してきたくせに。お前。 神様になったからって自分のことを特別な存在だとでも
嫌いだって言われたんだ。私みたいな可愛いガキは嫌いだって言われたんだ。誰に言われたんだ。
Who was it that said that again?
誰だっけな。だけどそれってどうすればいいのかな。私だってこんな自分は嫌いだよ。だけどこれが自分なんだから仕方ないじゃない。 そんな自分でも自分なんだから好きになるしかないじゃない。大嫌いな自分でも愛せるようなどんな自分
Turn the hatred into love.
神様みたいな自分になるしか。
そうじゃないな。お前は今に至ってもまだ神様になってもまだ人間だった頃と同じように周囲にいいように振り回されているだけなんだ。可愛いともてはやされているように、まあ神様ともてはやされているだけなんだ。
The song is insane.
あのは今も昔もちっとも変わらねえよ。俺の知っている女は違ったぜ。幸せになることを拒絶したぜ。あいつはそのままの方がいいと思っていた。あいつはあくまで神に頼らない生き方を選んだんだ。 誰かのせいとか何かのせいとか心地よさそうなのを全部否定してきた。いろいろ気を回してやった俺を逆恨みするありさまだぜ。お前とは大違いだろ。
大違いかもね。語っているのかわからないけれど。でもさ、現実問題、誰かのせいってことはあるでしょ。私の場合、扇さんのせいってのがだし。
扇？
Yeah, he has no idea.
アララギがガエン先輩から預けられていた、託されていた誰かがいたというのか。戦国なでこ、神様に仕立て上げた怪奇さん。
You too.
ならば他にもいつかどこかにいたということだ。 僕なでこを騙し
What a
代わ
shot.
りに神様に仕立て上げた近江
どうでもいいんだけど。いや、どうでもよくはないか。私を騙そうとしたのは良くないよね。嘘をついたのは良くないよね。
荒らぎは別に
あ、これはペナルティーだよね。約束は守る。卒業式までは待ってあげる。少し殺そう。罰としてもう少し殺そう。
Friends and family.
Oh my god.
やっぱり月
A
ちゃん
penalty.
パンかな。それに会ったことはないけど、これもちょっと嫌だけど、すごく嫌だけど、カンバルさんかな。
戦国お前神様になんかなりたかっ
言ったよ。それがどうかした？
じゃあお前漫画家になりたいのか
The closet? Are we bringing up the closet?
The dress. How do you know? It has to be the closet.
Not even letting the snakes do it. She has to do it.
Why do you know?
見たんだ10円玉でくるっと回して鍵を開けてな
絶対に開けちゃダメって言ったのに、誰だって見られたくなかったのに。
ねえかえ
Wow, look at how many
Oh
of
my
them.
その内容がすごいってとろけるようなご都合主義のラブコメは80年代かよ
I want to read it.
現実にいるかよバカバカしい具体的には結構エッチだったりしてなとスマートにした方が万人受けすると
Oh my god.
考えてはみなかったのか猫可愛がりしているお前の親だって不明が続けばいずれはあのクローゼット出るぜ
Oh.
でも今すぐ神様を辞めて人間に戻り部屋に戻れば
Did she trust they actually never
手
would?
で処分できるんじゃないのか
ふざけんな。そんなバカみたいな理由で。
そんな理由でねじゃあお前
You're the one that said it.
What would be reason enough for you to quit being a god?
誰に話を聞いてもよ戦場が原から聞いても
This is so good. We're actually talking now. She's hearing us.
聞いてさえお前があんな趣味を持ってそこまでお前は堅くなに恥ずかしい創作物を隠しきったんだお前は誰にも言わなかったそれが本当の夢だからだろう他人にも神様にも言うもんじゃないからな
Oh.
It won't
Bring
come
it-
true.
神様になりたかったわけじゃないんだろう貧乏くじだ
Oh.
お前は神様になりたいわけでも幸せになりたいわけで
Or
も
wanted to be happy.
他になりたかったんだろうだったら
バカじゃないの。
I love the setting.
ただの落書きだよ。おかしいから見られたくなかっただけだよ。あんなのゴミだよ。あそこに隠していただけに決まってるじゃない。
自分で作ったものを創作は恥ずかしいものだしそれに夢も恥ずかしいそれは仕方がない当たり前のことだだが少なくともそんな風に自分で卑下しそれにうまかったじゃないか才能ってやつがあるんじゃないのか
わけないじゃない。それになろうと思ってなれるものじゃないでしょ。
なろうと思わなきゃなれないもの
Oh.
神様
Gotta have that.
幸せとかと違って神様ではなれないものだ人間じゃなければ戦国俺は金が好きだなぜかといえば金は全ての代わりになるからだ
Hmm.
物も買える命も買える人も買える幸せも買える夢も買えるそしてその上でかけがえのないものではないから好きだかけがえのないものが嫌い
I
だ
hate irreplaceable things.
あれだけが生きる理由だとかそういう希少価値に腹が立って仕方がないお前に価値はなくなるのかやりたいことはそれだけだったのかお前の人生はそれだけだったのかあのな戦国だるいことは代わりにどっかのバカがやってくれるだからお前はそんなかったるいことは終わりにして他のかったるいことをやればいいなあ戦国お前にとって荒らぎ以外のことはどうでもいいくだらないことだったのかお前の中の優先順位で荒らぎ以外は全部ゴミか
The voice actor's killing it.
どうして荒らぎだけが特別扱いになる あいつは
Oh,
お
the
前
screen
の分身か何かなのか。
怪奇さんに何がわかるの？怪奇さんは私のことなんか何も知らないでしょ。
お前のことはお前しか知らないんだから。だからお前のことはお前しか大切にできないんだぜ。そしてお前の夢もお前にしか叶えられない。
Oh my god.
俺の知ってる女はな、俺のよく知っている女はな、本当に人を好きになったのは今が初めてって感じだぜ。そしてそれで正しい。そうでなくっちゃダメだ。人間は人間だからいくらでもやり直せる。いくらでも買い直せる。とりあえず
Oh, the snakes are gone.
俺がくれてやった金で本格的な画材だ。
Oh my god.
もったいないって普通に思うよ。でも漫画を描いて神様って呼ばれた人もいたよね。もったいないと思うならそうなればいいんだよね。
騙されたと思ってチャレンジしてみな。
わかった。騙されてあげる。
Oh my god.
こいつめ戦国怪奇怪奇。
Oh my god.
何をした？ガエン先輩に頼まれてな。でも戦国に一体何をしたんだよお前。戦国
Slug.
戦国なでこの場合はナメクジだ。戦国なでこ自身にぬらりと生きるナメクジを受け入れる
But she
気持ち
was
がなければ
okay with being
思い知らな
deceived.
かった。受け入れる気持ちって怪奇。お前戦国に何を言ったんだ？将来を棒に振るなとか、みんな恥ずかしい青春を送ってきたとか、
When you say it like that, it
しばら
almost
くすれ
sounds
ばいい
unbelievable.
思い出になるとか。
おい怪奇何してんだ。
うるさいな、引っ込んでろよ、あららぎ。
Oh. Wow. Are we gonna give it back to Araragi? Yeah.
隠されていたというお札はこれか。
Put it back in that totally normal book.
俺
どこに行くんだ怪奇。
どこにも何も。俺は本来この町にいちゃダメなんだよ。こんなところにいることがバレたら戦場ヶ原に殺されてしまう。どうしても離れないようなら塩でもかけろ。あとはお前は一生その子に関わらないようにしてやるんだ。
そんな無責任なことできるわけないだろ。戦国がこんな目にあったのは僕のせいなんだから。
わからないのか。お前はその娘のために何をしてやることもできないんだよ。
You'd be being irresponsible.
戦場ヶ原は俺がいたからダメになった。それをお前が強くした。だから今回は適材適所というか、その借りを返してやったみたいなもんだ。別に幸せになることが人間の生きる目的じゃないからな。幸せになれなくとなりたいもんになれりゃいいんだし、けどまあ何にしても生きてりゃそのうちいいことあるんじゃねえのかよ。
Oh my
じゃ
god.
あまた会おう。あ、最低限のごまかしはしておいてやったから後始末は任せるよ。
めちゃくちゃにしておいて意味もなく格好でありがとうございます。じゃあこれでお別れね。
そうだな。これでお前とは終わり。ジエンドだ。
The
ね
song.
え怪奇、一ついいかしら。あなた本当に私があなたのことを好きだったと思っている。これからは悪い女には気をつけなさい。
そうだな。お前は手紙を出すときには署名を忘れないように気をつけろ。ホテルの部屋に差し込まれていたあの手紙の差出主が戦場ヶ原hitagiであることなど、それはあいつが俺のことをよく知っているからだ。手を引けと言われれば手を引きたくなくなってしまう俺の性格を戦場ヶ原hitagiはよく知っている
So she
か
was
ら。
ensuring. Wow.
戦場ヶ原以上にあの人は知っているのだから、ひょっとして300万円という大金を俺に対して支払ったのは単なる
If she knows you so well.
目論みがあったのではないだろうか。俺はあの女に、あの先輩にいいように踊らされただけではないのか。
At the moment, it sounds like it.
しかし星野のやつはこんな時に一体何をしているのだろうか。子供の前では格好をつけたがるあの男が 姿を現さないなんてことが果たしてあるだろうか。あいつは一体今どこで何をしているのだ。
大木さんの言った通りだった。本当に帰ってきていたんだ。この詐欺師。お前のせいで。
そうだ。前に俺がこの町に来た時に騙した。
Ogi told the people he was back.
一人だ。ならばこの中学生が事の発端である尾行者の方の正体は厳密には未だ不明のままだったな。そういえばさっき誰か人名を言っていなかった。
Yeah.
扇。誰だそれは。どこかで聞いたような気もする名前だったが、俺はそれ以上考えることはできなかった。地獄の沙汰もお金次第という。貯金のない俺だから最後にいくらか小銭を稼いでおいて本当に良かったと心から思った。
カレンだぜ、月日だよ。二人合わせてファイヤーシスターズ。恋物語に続く物語シリーズセカンドシーズン第6フェーズの主役は誰でしょう。私。アンバル先生に決まってんだろうがべっからさ。お姉ちゃんにぶっ殺すって言われた。次回物語シリーズセカンドシーズンプラスアルファ花物語第1話数ができるその1。
Okay, that was Monogatari Second Season, Episode 26. This is gonna be really hard for me to talk about.
I agree with you. It happens very rarely that I have the immense desire to take off my headphones and put them onto the table and exit the room at something that has transpired at the end of an episode, the ending of an episode, a movie, anything. It happens very rarely. And this is one of those times where I knew I needed to stay because obviously the Fire Sisters were going to be speaking to me, and I knew I needed to stay and finish this out, but I had such a strong desire to just take my headphones off and leave.
I'm with you. I felt that way from the bottom of my heart, right? I don't know.
Now let's talk about it, which I agree with you is probably going to be a little bit difficult, but we're going to try our best, and we're going to try to I was going to say try to have fun with it, but like the vibes are like a little bit sad in the air right now.
It's hard for me to be like objective. Like it's hard for me to be in that like, well, it's hard for me to happily acknowledge that it was a great episode.
Like compliment it and be, yeah, bring up all the positives about it when you kind of just want to almost ruminate a little bit, or it almost feels forced because of what happened to ruminate in the emotions and maybe the sadness or the darkness of the episode.
Is he dead?
Is he dead? Okay. What do you think? Let's just ask ourselves that like simple, it's not really that simple question, and let's go from there. Is he dead?
It's so weird. Like legitimately I feel like I don't feel like this typically outside. I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel like when we're in here usually and we're recording and able to have the discussion right after, like, yeah, sometimes it's hard to piece things together occasionally, but I always feel like I'm in this room at the seat, and right now it kind of feels like I'm in my office chair or like on our couch, and I feel extremely like vulnerable, and
yeah.
And I think that let me just try to talk on that for a second, because I think part of the reason for that isn't just what happened in this episode, because that's definitely a lot of it, but it's how much has gone into what happened this episode.
Yes.
And it makes me feel uneasy. Is Kaiki dead? Is Kaiki alive? For this episode's sake, I want to say that I don't want to say, but I would say that he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
For what little part of my brain can think right now, is he was the narrator. This was his story. If it's his story, then he's alive.
You gotta be alive to tell your story, right?
But I don't know. I don't feel good right now.
I'm glad that you brought up. See, maybe that like I'll hold on to what you just brought up a little bit, because I wasn't even thinking about how we start Hitagi End and how it does start from Kaiki telling us a story. So yeah, I could hold on to that and maybe think that that means he will survive this, but also think about in terms of wounds. Yes, this attack. I feel like this attack alone could kill, but he's already been beaten up prior to this. Might already have some broken bones prior to this, maybe some loose teeth, and then this happens at the end of the episode. So he's already not doing amazing by the end of this episode. And it's cold. He's probably very cold. He's walking in the snow, which obviously I think the snow, just a beautiful choice if you're going to have the red of the blood. The very like white and red contrast was really beautiful throughout the whole episode. I don't love that we're using it to show wounded Kaiki, but I appreciate that we continued with the white and the red in this way, I guess.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It sounds so silly. Like if you try to look at it from a bird's eye view of like this, like how I'm feeling or the situation that I'm in, like in terms of, yeah, we are watching a piece of media, but it almost felt so real that it was like a tangible thing and it was like happening in front of me, because I think the execution, I didn't try to use that word. The delivery of it, like the idea of, I think what really broke me, to be honest with you, is Kaiki being like, Ogi. I think I remember that name, but I was in no state to think anymore.
That's like someone's last words. The fact that this name and this person first planted to him by Hanakawa, but never truly explored on his like, in his case, he never truly explored it. And then in this episode again, it's brought up by Nadeko, and he's like, And then now here, again, brought up the second time in this episode.
I was in no state to think anymore. That's something that feels like just you're dying. And it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Massive blood loss, hypothermia, could be a lot of things. Will survive. A girl can dream. A girl can hope. And why do I hope and dream for this character who, when we first met him, was given to us on this kind of villain silver platter? It's because he has become so much more, and we have explored him so deeply as a character. Not only has the show explored him so deeply as a character, but the two of us sitting in this room talking to each other, yapping to each other, have explored Kaiki as a character endlessly, it feels like. I feel like I've come to know him. I almost feel like I was watching a real person get attacked. Like I was watching a live action of a person getting attacked. That's almost how it felt.
I'm so conflicted too, because in some of in what I just genuinely believe in terms of storytelling and writing, sometimes the best stories and characters end in tragedy or end in death, and it isn't an end to begin with. You know, the idea of like serialization of a series that could last forever, it starts to take a toll in terms of critically storytelling if it feels like every character can survive anything. And because of that, I tend to love stories that have permanence to them in terms of it only lasting 2 or 3 seasons to be able to tell the story that they're trying to be told, or in terms of characters, because that character's story has been told. I think that an ending is really crucial to be able to put something that's really good and make it really great. And I'm saying all this now, but fucking God, don't take Kaiki away from me. I don't know how else to say it.
I'm gonna try to be critical here for a second in terms of think about what was actually laid on the path before what transpired that could lead to writing this into happening, writing this attack and possible death into happening, that could lend to the viewer feeling like this is a death and this is a goodbye. We have Araragi obviously speaking to Kaiki, and Kaiki's kind of last things he says to Araki before leaving is about bringing up returning of a favor. That he made Senjugahara weak, and Araki made her strong, and Araki made Nadeko weak, and Kaiki was able to fix this situation as a favor, if you will, returning the favor, and then he leaves. So we have a character that is telling us and reminding us that what he has done here, this chapter, this decision to take on this mission, he's wrapping up loose ends that he had left and things that he had done in the past. He's kind of cleaning them up, if you will. Yes, in his soliloquy, he had to think of a character perfect reason to be doing what he's doing. But in the end, we have a character who has finished his mission and is now breaking his SIM card in his phone, saying goodbye to what is left in this town for him, really, even maybe by the choices he's making, by what he's doing with his phone. And he's basically thinking possibly he might never come back here. Obviously, we know that he had thought about Kambaru as maybe a reason why he might want to come back here. But I think the choices he makes on the phone and as he's walking away and what he says to Aragi, it could definitely lend to mission is finished. We're done here in this town, at least for now. And that could lead you down a path where this character, where it's almost written in to fated by the writing that he will die here.
The idea that you could even play with the idea that Araragi and Senjugahara would never assume that he died because they wouldn't be privy to what happened here, and that his goodbye was, and it actually was, on his volition, but his lack of returning wouldn't be.
Yeah.
I think that I'm feeling slightly better, but in the sense that you bringing up Kanbaru, I think that would make me feel like Kaiki will come back into the story. And even if I'm just coping with that, that's where my mind's at right now.
I also feel like it would be kind of perfect in the writing if Kanbaru is, just to quickly get it out there since we're talking about it, Kanbaru has been the last to be mentioned every single time she is mentioned recently in the second season, whether that's in Kaiki's soliloquy, whether that's in Nadeko listing off all of Araragi's friends that she could kill, or if that's actually in terms of what arcs are happening within this second season and who is apparently coming next, thanks to the Fire Sisters who told us who is probably coming next. And could that possibly also be really great writing, that before Kanbaru can even take center stage yet again in this story, Kaiki is not here to see it? And when we also can think about Gaian as her aunt in this story as well, and how she has this future sight. She knows what might happen here, and how much really did she know was going to happen here? It's a question I am happening to ask myself right now.
Man, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Or not. I don't even know if it's a question for you. I'm just, I'm trying here.
Yeah, thank you.
The idea of being a character and the pros and cons of it, right? Like, I think that being a character that is not easy to read, but being a very obvious character and type of person around the right type of people can be a really interesting development. The idea of how people choose to interact with you and play with you as a character, if they know you well enough, is really fascinating. Kaiki's own questioning about specifically Senjugahara being the one to leave the note in a sense of reverse psychology to be able to get him to do this because of knowing his character so well. The idea that Gaian was giving the money as like a loan almost because of knowing and playing the game of who Kaiki is as a character. It's just really fascinating, and I wanted to bring that up just as a thought, because what you get out of that ends up being such honest reactions and interactions in a very roundabout way. And then I'm just talking. His talking about Oshino, like, where are you, was really gripping. It was really
I feel like that could unfortunately lend as well to writing a character into death. If you're saying obviously what we've witnessed, such a pivotal time. Kaiki's right. Like, where was Oshino during such a huge moment in these kids' lives? And what's transpiring right now? Like, what is he doing? And yes, as a viewer, I'm asking that same question. I'm wondering what has him wrapped up, if this is intentional on his end, that he's not interfering even, and he knows what's happening. What is actually going on? Will we actually see him again? Or is he just someone who planted the seeds and gave Araragi and Shinobu information about this world that they were in, and then is just gone with the wind, just off, this mystical, ethereal being at this point that we just know about, but we can't observe him, so his existence is just a question mark to us now.
You think, you remember the episode at the end when we got the flash forward about the fight against Sengoku Nadeko?
Yeah, and we saw everyone step up together.
So do you think that that was from Sengoku Nadeko's point of view of what she imagined would happen and imagined them showing up to fight her would be, as opposed to what we actually saw happen? Because we had that one interaction and wondering if Shinobu was even there with Sengoku Nadeko. So the idea of Sengoku Nadeko being an unreliable narrator and that being another instance of it, and then also having the unreliable narrator of Sengoku Nadeko play into an entire arc based around an unreliable narrator for his own story being Kaiki and Nadeko would be something kind of cool.
I mean, if it's everyone that Nadeko thought of in terms of who is to be family and friends for the most part of Araragi, except I don't think his sisters walked up. I wonder if it also could be from Gaian's point of view of wondering about it. Because obviously, or Ogi, you know, the people who are the ones that know things and or put things into motion. At that point that Nadeko became God, obviously everything that Gaian was planning or thought she knew changed because of, obviously, Ogi. So was that what the next future was going to be like until Kaiki then gets involved by Senjugahara, which would have been something that no one would have thought would have happened, because no one would have thought that Senjugahara would have gone out of her way to interact with him unless Hanakawa did what Hanakawa did.
Man.
Did I get a little too complex there?
A little bit, but I'm
so
also
sorry.
just dealing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe it's just today, you know, maybe
it's just the day.
I don't know. So you brought up Hanakawa, and Hanakawa within this arc ended up having such a massive amount of like insight and know in terms of what she was saying about happiness. You can't call her happy just because she thinks that she is. Like, everything that played out with Nadeko this episode was terrifying, but also real. It felt so real. I don't know how I end up feeling like this, in the sense that, like, it's a world that there are billions of white snakes on the screen making a completely different setting and environment to tie up Kaiki just so he can get slapped by a girl in a red dress with snakes for hair. And I'm like, it feels so real. Like, the idea of her, what was in the closet, what it was, and what her view of it was. I think that was what really resonated with me and stood out. Like, okay, you have something in there, how, and you want to be a manga artist, fucking sick, and it looks great, but how she viewed of the initial, like, don't go in there was one thing, and we got to see, like, the physicality of her movements was so realistic and so, like, I'm trying to bring it up really quick. Like, there's so much weight to all of her limbs, and like, you can tell how uncomfortable and upset that she is that Kaiki brought these words into existence and into this conversation. It was the one thing that actually got her to like register the words that were coming out of Kaiki's mouth. Mm-hmm. And how Nadeko ends up going through and talking about the levels of what she deems being a manga artist would actually look like to her was super fascinating. Besides, a manga artist isn't something you can become just by having the desire. But if you don't even have the desire, you'll never become one. Mm-hmm. It's not like how you're happy just because you're a god. Being a god also prevents you from becoming one. So you have to be human. I love this appeal to the humanity and the approach to what it means to be human and what benefits there are to being human. Like, Heike goes on to go into his love for money because he could replace everything with it. I hate irreplaceable things was the opposite side of the coin there, right?
I can understand that line of thinking. The power that an irreplaceable thing can hold over your life, like my life is not worth living unless I have this thing. I can completely understand his like line of thinking in terms of like why money stands out with importance to him. And the choice he makes to bring himself up, I think that once you've kind of, it is a tactic that can work a lot of the time to kind of bring up yourself in the scenario, because a lot of times it can be awkward or uncomfortable for someone to consistently have to talk about themselves or have themselves be talked about, even the things that they especially don't want to be talked about. So if you kind of try to like, okay, I got in, you're receiving me, you're being receptive now. Now let me maybe soften the blow by talking a little bit about myself. So you're not the only one who's being vulnerable here. You're not the only one being revealed a little bit in this scenario. I feel like that even makes it more appealing. I don't know if that was necessarily the tactic he was employing, but it does feel that way. Like, okay, now we're both being vulnerable here.
Well, it feels like it had to have been Kaiki. It feels like it had to have been an adult too saying this. The idea, where the fuck are you, Oshino? But like the line that I had written down, humans, because they are only human, can always start over from scratch. That needed to be said, that needed to be heard to somebody in this uniquely godly position that Sengoku Nadeko is in.
I think from Kaiki's perspective, he definitely thinks it needed to be an adult. I mean, I don't think that's a lie in what he says to Araragi. Like, the obvious, I just did what an adult would do, and I said what an adult should say in this situation. I think Kaiki definitely believed that it needed to be someone maybe with that sort of perspective of life, being able to talk to her like this. And maybe someone like that with that perspective of life has more of a chance of someone who's of a younger age receiving what it is they have to say, because they're aware that the person in front of them has more life experience, might actually know what they're talking about. I don't know exactly what it would be, but I feel like Kaiki believes that it's probably has something to do with age, his age in particular. I happen to think it might be a mix of the fact that he's an adult with his own personality and how he views the world. I feel like because of how he views the world, he's able to appeal to her, and I think that it is him mainly. I think the adult contributes, the adult factor, but I think that it is him, how he views the world, how he's able to think, the choices he makes, he as a person chooses to make in a conversation, that he is the perfect one to be speaking to her now. The deceptor.
I love the through line to, like, we get the idea of wishes, right? Last episode, and, you can't tell your wishes to people or they won't come true. I didn't expect it to come in a completely different approach in terms of what the secret behind the closet was, what the goal or desire of wanting to draw manga was. The line is, when one truly wishes for something, they don't tell people about it. Not even God. And this is coming with Nadeko not telling anybody in her life about the manga side of her.
The power this line holds, when you think about what we were using this fact of not telling people your wishes for originally, it was to get her to say that she wants to kill Araragi and Sanjukahara in order to give her that line of thinking or deception that won't be able to be the case, because it's something that she said aloud so many times. When really, with this line, when you truly wish for something, they don't tell people about it, not even God. We're highlighting to her that this is the thing you truly care about, because this is the thing you haven't told anyone about when you're so willing to say that other thing. And I feel like even if it didn't initially work when we bring up, people don't say their wishes out loud if they want them to come true, because obviously she sees through the deception later on, it was still a seed that was planted that I think when we can reference the idea of wishes again, it can hit harder because we've already talked about it. And I know that you already said it, but I just wanted to agree with you about how real the scene felt when the snake stopped moving and Nadeko, for herself, goes over to Kaiki in order to land some blows and some kicks. How real that feels, even though this is an animation and this is characters that aren't real. It's because I can understand and identify that feeling of what is actually happening, of removing the distance, removing the barriers, the indirect attacks of the snake. And you're so raw and vulnerable in that moment that you yourself, the supposed god, is walking over to this human and lashing out at them. It feels like a brat. It feels like a little brat lashing out at their parent or someone else, in this moment, and it feels identifiable and real. I really loved that moment. I loved him bringing up the closet there. I'm thankful that the closet wasn't brought up prior, even though we've been waiting for the closet to be brought up and to be told what was in it. But this was such a beautiful moment for it to be brought up because of the fallout of bringing it up, because of the reaction from Nadeko. The reaction was more than I could have hoped or dreamed the reaction would be to Nadeko finding out that someone had been in the closet.
I completely agree with you. I think that, like, it felt like a dream almost, like the way that how seriously it was depicted and portrayed in terms of like intention going into the animation of it, into the massive scale of the environment, almost like breaking down and becoming deeply personal and raw, that is so contrasting of what a god would be in this instance, because it really just becomes a human conversation at that point. Like, and everything that Kaiki chose to say afterwards, and the words that he used in terms of support of becoming and treating your art with such praise.
Don't talk about your art like that.
Yeah.
Like, he was giving, obviously, some I wouldn't even call it advice, but some critiques. Like, oh, wow, that was like a rom-com. Definitely. Diabetes-inducing rom-com. Sure, he's saying things like that, but he's also being like, hey, don't talk about your art that way.
Yeah.
And obviously, is there anything that you wanted to say based on that?
I think it's interesting because, like, what Kaiki's approach to it was, like, the idea, like, okay, let's not say a 1-for-1 from what we just saw, but in a similar scenario, you, by critiquing what you're choosing to critique, you are bringing the legitimacy of every other aspect of the work up, right? If you are going to like baby somebody about being about being an artist and about what they're drawing, you're going to be like, oh, very non-specific and vague about how good it is. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to be brutally honest to a person who wants to do that as a career or seriously, then you could be like, hey, okay, your line work, it needs some touching up. Your paneling is trash, whatever. Like, you can be specific about it. If someone is just bad, then you don't even most of the time go into critiques. But the idea that you were saying that she's a natural within this circumstance, and what he's critiquing, it almost puts emphasis on the fact that, oh shit, no, this is actually good, or can very easily become really good.
How much would you want to listen to someone who's approaching you with taking you seriously? Obviously, a critique can be very not fun to hear, especially if you already hate yourself as much as Nadeko tells us she does. But in the end, wouldn't you so much rather someone to take you seriously and take the time to have probably actually read enough of your work or looked at your work long enough to be able to actually say a critique to you about it?
It's like,
instead of the coddling.
Yeah, and it's the idea of like, we get Nadeko saying, you don't know me, and Kaiki is like, you're right, I don't know you. And he gives all the credit in the world to Nadeko in saying that the only person that can make a decision like this and knows your true desires like that is yourself. And that is only as powerful as it is because he's taken the time to actually read the manga and know the details about it. So he knows some stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But he knows that he doesn't know her.
Right. Can you truly get to know someone through everything that Kaiki has received, he's received other people's observations, other people's thoughts and feelings about Nadeko. He's received the parents' thoughts and feelings about Nadeko. He's seen baby pictures and childhood pictures. He's seen her room. He has met her, and he's seen this manga. So can you truly even begin to know someone if you look at them through looking through their art? Obviously, no. It is definitely a good place to look to maybe like see if you can understand someone through this. But I think that you can just stop at the fact that he's looking at the art. And to create something is to be vulnerable. So just keep it as simple as that, is that what he witnessed in the closet was a complete vulnerability. It was an openness of her, almost like an open wound. Especially because of the fact of how she feels toward herself and how she would be so willing to self-deprecate, especially about the idea of like, this isn't worth being seen and being upset that someone has seen it. It is an open wound and it is vulnerable. And that is what it is like to be a creative. And when you create something, it can also be exceedingly exhausting to create something, because to create art, you are putting so much of yourself and so much of your energy into it that it is exhausting. And then you have to think about the possibility that other people could see it and other people could judge it. And also, you're probably your own worst critic and probably meaner to yourself than anyone else will ever be. The whole experience, awful and exhausting, but can be very worth it.
Yeah. I apologize that I'm not doing as good as I would like to be within this discussion. I don't know why this like hit me so hard. I want to talk about like things like, okay, Kaiki, why do you hate things that are irreplaceable? Like the idea of how close a person could get to something that is deemed irreplaceable, and once that's taken away, that empty void that could never be fulfilled because it is irreplaceable. I want to talk about like, okay, are there going to be consequences like to the shrine at this point because of Nadeko's position being changed, or like fucking Ogi being in such a villain category for me right now because of the choices that Ogi has made.
Specifically, even the last choice. Like, this choice, I don't even know if we could have labeled Ogi a villain with this Nadeko choice.
Feel like I want to apologize for not feeling like I'm able to talk about such things in the way that I would like to right now. How are you doing?
I'm definitely doing better than you are at the moment. I feel emotional, sure, but I feel like the words are maybe coming to me despite the emotions, maybe a lot easier and quicker than they are for you right now. But I can definitely understand how you're feeling, and I've understood it and I've felt it before. I
don't want to say goodbye to Hitagi End either. Mm-hmm. That probably comes into it.
Is this something that you might want to revisit and talk about more when you have a clearer head? If you have already said there are these other topics that you would like to be able to talk about?
Like in the intro? Mm-hmm. Maybe. That might be good. I
would like to hear your thoughts.
Of that, yeah. Okay. Let's plan to do that then, I guess.
Okay. We can just shelf this for now. There's more for us to talk about.
I don't want to stop talking about it because then it kind of ends, you know? And I don't want it...
But it won't end because we're not done talking about it.
Yeah.
So we're just shelving it. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. And that's all right. And we'll sort through our feelings, and I'm sure you'll have things you want to talk about.
I just want to rewatch like the entire thing too.
Except
like
the end.
I want to rewatch like the entire like Monogatari up to this point, like beginning. I don't know. I love talking about Kaiki with you so much.
That's why I hope he's not dead. I think that's one of my main, like, the selfish reason is we like talking about Kaiki in this room. I like talking about Kaiki with you and trying to unpack his morality, his thought process, how Kaiki the character might view things and what he might choose to do based on who he is as a character and who he views himself as a character. It's so fun to talk about, and I would really truly miss talking about him.
Okay. All right. For now, are you good?
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We hope to see you next time.